I had a request in the sound video where I hung up these speakers on the ceiling to have a look inside, and I'm going to take the back off of this one because I want to look at the idea of maybe, possibly remaking these so that they'll fit in one of these tile spaces up here. But I've got to have a look inside first to see what I'm up against. Like I said, I made these quite a long time ago. A lot of screws, that's for sure. I think the rest of these hold it on. No, I gotta take these ones out too, I think. That's why. I get some sort of divider or support. Okay, now here we go. You can see here that this is the power transformer. These are 3 amplifiers. These are chip amps. I forget which one it is. It's the most popular chip amp, at least the most popular from, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. LM, I can't remember. Anyway, they're 60 watt chip amps. I think that these are probably set up to be around 50 watts each, 50, 50, 50, so around 150 watts. What makes these different is that there's a crossover, a line level crossover built into these little amplifier boards here. And I actually designed these a long time ago, and spent a lot of time working out the details of it. And what they do is they separate the frequencies. Anything below a certain frequency, low frequency, goes to the woofer. Say anything below 1,000 goes to the woofer. Anything from 1,000 or 500 up to around 2,000 goes to the mid-range. Everything above 2,000 goes to the tweeter. So there's one for each one: woofer, mid-range, tweeter. And this thing right here is just the power supply for the boards. So those are hardwired into this little terminal strip, and I'm just going to pull the insulation out to have a better look inside. As you can see, there's quite a bit of fiberglass insulation in here. I cut it around the woofer. Now I can see why. I tried to take the woofer out to see how deep it is. I took the screws out from the front, but now I can see why I couldn't take it out. There's a bolt that goes into the magnet that's attached to this big piece of oak flooring brace that I put across here. What I really need is the depth from the front to the back here, and I can see that it's too deep. This is 5.5 inches from the oak brace to the back side of the baffle here. So I've only got 5.5 inches up in the ceiling. They would have to stick down a little bit. I'll think about it, but for now I think I'm going to leave these as they are. So that's basically it. You got the woofer here, tweeter here. The tweeter is sealed so it doesn't have to be separated from the space. This little box up here is for the mid-range. The mid-range, the back of the cone is open so that it has to be closed off. Otherwise, the vibrations from the woofer will affect the mid-range. What I'll do is I'll get in here so you can get a better look at these little amplifiers as they are. This is something that I was really into a few years back. I spent a lot of time doing this kind of thing. And I'll tell you that I learned a lot, but I've forgotten a lot since. Like, I couldn't remember exactly how I had this configured, so I had to open it up. Another thing is that I can't remember the specific details regarding these amplifiers here, although I have it documented somewhere. And it'd be one of those things that, you know, one of these days I'll get it put on my electronics website along with the other things that I say I'm going to do there, but I haven't done yet. I'm going to put this back in and put all the screws back in. There it is. Ever go to put something together and there'd be that wire in the way and it won't close? That was what was just happening. Okay, a lot of screws to drive. I said when I was mounting these on the wall that they're acoustic suspension. And a couple of comments from people, you know, talking about speakers in general. Speakers is something that I know quite a bit about. Mainly because I spent years and years and years, or wasted years and years, studying them and researching them. I had a harebrained idea at one point that I was going to, you know, professionally make speakers and sell them. But the problem with that is, the further I got in, the more I learned about how it actually is. There are guys that are called audiophiles, and what they do is they spend huge, enormous amounts of money on audio equipment to listen to music. And it's just insane, some of the ideas and notions that are going around, like, you know, how different things sound and how important that is. So one of the first things you would have to do if you were going to be building speakers professionally would be to stop being who you are and start being one of the biggest liars that you could possibly be. Because if you're actually going to be on the selling end of it, you would have to convince people in the language that they understand in this particular industry just how magical your combination of components and materials are to achieve this really, you know, sublime sound. And I couldn't ever see myself doing that. So anyway, that's what I was getting into. I decided not to do it mainly for that reason. I couldn't see myself actually getting anywhere with it unless I adopted that approach. You know, this is golden sound or whatever. Getting back to the speaker design, it's acoustic suspension. What that means is that the woofer cone is cushioned on the air that's trapped inside here. That's why I have it so well sealed all the way around with that foam tape to keep the air inside, make a cushion. And the reason why it's like that is because the suspension on that woofer, that big woofer, is very loose. It moves easily. And this blanket of air, or cushion of air, helps it perform better. Now, something you might be asking, well, why do you need such big speakers in the workshop anyway? Well, when I'm in here working by myself, I like to have some music going. I generally can't put any music on when I'm doing a video, but I had an idea that I would, you know, sometimes I dub music in after the fact, but I had an idea that I would have some music playing while I'm actually doing some of the work, and then I wouldn't have to do that, and it would have a kind of a grittier feel to it. So I was going to try that out in a video or two and see how it works.